Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and this is Nigel, and this is a different view. But welcome to another episode of Book CommuniTEA, where I try to keep you abreast of the goings-on in the bookish community. First, yes, I do not have baby locks anymore. I'm sorry to anybody who was invested in that journey. I'm sorry if I let you down. I just couldn't. It just wasn't for me. So that's that. Also, so a lot of you replied to my community post. Thank you so much about my struggles recently with trying to film and edit these videos. And this week I had really bad luck with the files and my editing. And anyway, I'm just trying a different method right now of filming these. And I don't know if it's going to work or if it's going to be the best way, but essentially, kind of like some people who have podcasts on YouTube, they kind of just sit there and talk, and they have their computers and they often just put stuff up on the screen. Kind of is my vibe here. I know the lighting isn't the best because the window's over here, but I usually share a lot of stuff on the screen. A lot of people say they usually listen anyway, and I usually read everything that's on the screen, so we can try. This is basically like a Book CommuniTEA podcast episode. Obviously, if you're watching, you'll still have things to look at on the screen, and I promise to insert Nigel in the video, whether that's him in this room acting a fool or other clips of him throughout the day, because there's never a dull moment with Nigel. So there's a lot. So we should get to it and see how this goes, and honestly how long my laptop and my camera battery last. Okay, Place, can you stay there? See, if he could just stay there. Look, y'all could just look at him. But we'll see, Okay. Nigel, where are you going? First, so I've mentioned a few times I listened to the Read podcast. I only started this year and I love it. I don't know how I went so long without Crystal and Kid Fury in my life. But anyway, the way they structure their podcast, they start off with Black excellence, so something positive that a Black person has done. But here, I want to try to start with some positive book news and hopefully end with a piece of positive book news. So if things are older, that's probably because I've been holding on to them to have to kind of blanket the video or bracket the video. And so for today, I was going through my bookmarks on Twitter and I saw one that I saved from a while ago or a few weeks. The Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire, which are a series of novellas. I think there's 6 out and there's going to be 10 total, is going to be adapted for TV. And it said it's coming to the small screen. It was picked up by Sci-Fi and Legendary Television. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I feel like those novellas would be so good as TV shows because portal fantasy, everyone loves that. And the ones that I really enjoyed, I always wanted more. So I feel like an adaptation, especially a TV series, can really give the extra that we wanted. So I don't know when that's supposed to happen. Also, when I'm Googling it, it says 2019. Wait, now there's a 2021 one because I just saw it in my Twitter bookmarks. I really need Twitter to give me folders in my bookmarks because I have so many. Either way, it's becoming an adaptation. We don't know when. It says one of the producers attached to the project is working on Shadow and Bone. So that sounds good. And I hope that we get more information on the adaptation because I'm actually really excited about that one. So we covered that, but on to the mess. Also, first and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and cover this here. And if she's watching, it's because somebody went and told her, because I'm not tagging her and nothing, none of the whatever, the hashtags or whatever that YouTube uses, but I'm gonna really need y'all to unfollow J.M. Buckler. This is the author that came up a while ago who was acting a fool on Instagram because somebody DM'd her and was like mad that she was promoting J. Kristoff even with all the stuff going on. And she, oh no, you do not with my real, not with my, no. This is, I love giraffes. He don't get to play with my nice giraffes. He already had his own that he destroyed. No, you don't get mama's giraffes. No, sir. We're gonna end that right there. If you don't, actually, kick rocks. Honestly, kick rocks. Okay. So she made this whole production, was making these reels and stories and telling her truth and misquoting MLK and using it in the wrong context, yada, yada, yada. Shut up. So she made this whole big thing about leaving social media because that's where the woke mob lives, and conspiracy theory this, and it was a targeted attack. All this ridiculous stuff. Made a damn countdown to getting off Instagram. She kept coming back sporadically and people would let me know. I finally blocked her. Someone tagged me on Twitter yesterday, said, "Did you see her newest reel?" I sadly unblocked. And I watched it and it's fucking stupid. And I want everyone else to just block her because she came back because she's not the center of attention. No one's talking about her. No one's reading her fucking books, and that's the way it should be. So she came back to stir up shit so she could be the center of attention. She wants people to make a video about her, so maybe 1 or 2 people will be intrigued enough to buy her fucking book. She wants this attention. She's so desperate. She can't be, even though she claims she has so much going on. She's writing, she's teaching people, she's helping sex trafficking survivors, all these things she's so busy with, but she has time. And trust me, I know the time it takes to make a reel, especially when you're portraying 2 different people, has time to make these fucking reels. Nigel! No. She has time to make these reels to get people stirred up. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Please, I know people like to hate, follow, hate watch things, but you're just feeding into her ego. You're giving her like engagement. Just let it go. Block, unfollow, mute, please. I don't want to hear about what that dusty hoe is doing, and I don't want y'all following her just to see what shenanigans she comes up with. So please, please, let it go. So next we have some Succession drama gripping Scholastic, which is a large publisher in the United States. It is an independent publisher. It has like 3 divisions, and a big one is children's books. So they're the publishers for Harry Potter. I'm sorry, Nigel is literally trying to eat my rug. Hey, hey! They're the publishers for the Harry Potter, for the Hunger Games, Magic School Bus, Babysitters Clubs, tons of children's books, Scholastic book fairs. So their CEO suddenly died in June. He was 84, but he seemed to be in good health, was still working out, and he was on a walk in Martha's Vineyard when he passed away. And so everyone was pretty shocked, but him being 84, he did have a will planned. And in 2018, he wrote in his will that this woman, Miss Lucchese, a 30-year company veteran, was his partner and closest friend. So when he died, he does have 2 sons. He has siblings. He has an ex-wife that apparently he was on good terms with. They had rekindled, or at least were on speaking terms again through the pandemic. So when he passed away and they had a call for the will to be read, a lot of people were shocked because the majority of the shares went to this woman. I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly. It's like Ioli Lucchese, who, like I said before, she works at Scholastic. So she got the majority of the shares and his personal belongings. I know this thing. See, this is so weird. On my phone, I was able to read the entire article, but on the website, it's not letting me. Anyway, I have tried to record this video like 4 times, so I've practically memorized this story. So the publisher is worth $1.2 billion, and the majority of the shares went to this woman and not his sons, not any of his family members, and she also got his personal belongings. So the family is very upset. The sons are shocked. I know one of the sons was quoted as saying he didn't even know about her, had never met her, had never talked to her till this will was being read. And so they're very upset about that, not only losing their father, but not being left what they probably assumed they would be left. So Scholastic is independent, which is super important because so many publishers are buying up smaller publishers, or big ones, or are merging. And it'll be really interesting to see what she does. It didn't really say much in the article if he left distinct plans for how she should carry on with Scholastic. But they had apparently been dating for several years, even though people close to them thought they had broken up a few years ago. And he obviously trusted her with the company and his things. The family is trying to find, any legal way they can maybe review this, so that at least even in the possessions, they could get some of those things. I can't imagine the mess that is. You're also mourning and then going through that family drama. But I'm going to keep an eye out because I hope Scholastic stays independent. I know they've kind of been having a little rocky time during the pandemic, but I think it's important that they remain an independent. So I don't know if she'll sell them, or she'll keep it running the same way, or she'll change it up. She has worked at the company for a long time. I think she started in Canada and then moved, she got into the US branch. I'll link the article down below if you want to read it. It's Wall Street Journal. I don't have a subscription, so I don't know how I read it on my phone, but it's a mess. And I just, wow. Yeah. Wow. Wouldn't you be pissed? I'd be pissed. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Are you calm now? Can you be calm? Okay. Okay. Are you calmer now? Okay. Oh. All the people can't see your beautiful face. Oh, your nose is so cold. All the beautiful people can't see your little face. Okay, let's go back to my bookmarks because oh boy. Yeah, we're gonna have to work on this. Anyway, I have so many bookmarks. So you know what? Let's do this one right now since this one is at the front. And this is some Bookstagram mess. So this was shared on Twitter. I also saw it shared on Instagram. So a Bookstagrammer whose name is blotted out here, but it's Casey Culver 88 because you're gonna see it eventually. Someone I used to follow, don't follow anymore, posted this. So it's an email exchange with a publisher. It doesn't say what publisher and what book, but it's about requesting an advanced reader copy of a book. The publisher says, "Hi Kelsey, we unfortunately don't have physical ARCs available at the moment as we've sent them mostly to Black book influencers to give them priority, but we'll let you know if we have any additional physical copies that we're able to send out in the coming weeks." Her response was, "Hello, I see. Good to know and thanks for the info. I didn't realize that you matched influencers with authors based on skin color. Am I right in understanding that I'll have priority then if a white author has an ARC available? Thanks. Have a good day." Their response back to her was, "Hi Kelsey, our goal is to ensure that influencers from underrepresented backgrounds are given priority for ARCs. We focus on doing this for books by POC authors and books involving other marginalized identities and experiences. This is not something that we do for books by white authors based solely on race. Thanks and all the best." And then I think she followed it up with a question box asking for opinions, respectful comments only. Should publishers screen their reviewers? Should books written by POC authors only be reviewed by POC reviewers? And if your answer is yes, should white reviewers be the only reviewers for white authors or given priority for their books? And honestly, the lack of thought that went into this. Like, I didn't realize we were matching influencers to author skin colors. And well, are you gonna give me priority for a white book? Yes, bitch! You get priority for everything anyway. Also, wait, where is it? Ooh, damn, I'm gonna have to insert this in here because someone sent me screenshots. This is the same person who is so desperate for an ARC, I wish I knew what book it was, is the same person who gets ARCs all the time and sells them. It was posted for $700 on this website, and there were other ARCs posted there as well. So what do you want the ARC for? What are you so desperate for? So you can sell it? It's ridiculous. No, you're not being prioritized. Or let's see, it said, am I right in understanding that I'll have priority then if a white author has an ARC available? You're already priority. I don't know why, like, I think she has a good relationship with publishers. You're already priority. It's just a newer thing that publishers are actually starting to realize that they should make at least the initial advanced reader copies that go out go to people in those marginalized groups, because it often happens that people like this will request those books, get it, and then rate it low. Not because you don't have to love every book by somebody in a marginalized group. That is not true. You cannot like the writing style or different things, the pacing, but they'll be like, I didn't get it, or it didn't teach me anything, or like, I couldn't relate. So it's important to get those books to people in those underrepresented groups because they will be able to relate to the different nuances and the different culture, the different language. You'll be all right if you're denied an ARC. Everybody does not get every ARC that they want, and this is just screaming entitlement. And then, of course, there's people like, oh my God, no, this is racism. Do you know what racism is? It's not this, bitch. It's not racism. It's not discriminating against you. This isn't segregation. Like, I'm getting so mad because people like this just miss the fucking point. It is so simple, but you just want to look past what's obvious, and you want to find something to cling on to so you can make a big deal about it and have your fucking pity party. Do you want to be marginalized? Do you want spare some, boo-boo? Spare some oppression, please. Kick rocks, honestly. Kick big rocks. No one cares that you didn't get a fucking ARC because you're white. Like, oh damn well. There's still a lot of reviewers who do not receive ARCs for groups that they're a part of. I'm glad that publishers are starting to realize this. They all do not do this, but I do think if you're taking the time, the money to print an advanced reader copy and send it out, that it makes sense if it's the author is a part of a marginalized group to send it to those people. That just makes sense. Like, at the end of the day, do they want the book to be marketed and shown? Yes. So they're probably going to send it to large influencers also who are not a part of that group. But this is just a cry for attention, and it's ridiculous. So I saw that this morning, and I won't even go. This person who I have bookmarked says, LeVar, I'll take racist reactions for 400. LeVar should be the host of Jeopardy. Like, I don't even watch Jeopardy regularly, but I'm just saying. It's just very, very ghetto. And I hope that they're ashamed of themselves. And I hope they're embarrassed. I think the story is down now. And, oh no, my battery is dying. All right, we're back. I had to charge my battery, had some lunch. So last note from that last thing is I know that selling ARCs is not illegal, but they do say not for sale. It's kind of like, hey, we're giving you this free thing, don't resell it. People are going to be trifling, so I guess we can't help that. Anyway, all this to say, I don't feel sorry for her, and like, get over it. Can you tell how much of a mess it is back here? Don't look. Okay, so as I've said many times, I try to record this multiple times, and it's funny every time I try to re-record it, this mess with Owlcrate, something new had happened. So now I have the whole saga. So Owlcrate is a popular subscription box company. They are one of the, I don't know if they were one of the first, but one of the first I remember. And like in 2017, they started selling these mugs. Where are they? They started selling these mugs that were, the art was drawn by a artist, Kozik, and they were in the boxes, and then they became so popular that they offered them like separately. Like, you didn't have to subscribe to Owlcrate, you could like buy the mug separately, and they were coming out, I feel like it was like once a year, maybe twice a year, I'm not sure. And they were basically year 1 of Harry Potter, year 2 of Harry Potter, so on and so forth. But of course, things happened with Joanne, and multiple companies, including Owlcrate, were saying they weren't going to carry or have Harry Potter inspired items in their boxes anymore. So, a few days ago now, I don't know what date, I don't think I have the date shown, Owlcrate posts this image, and it's funny, one of the responses were like, I should have known with the flying books, I should have known. But they posted this image and then a very long caption, which of course I will read for you. So the original post was, hi friends, Karina here. I wanted to give everyone the heads up that tomorrow we will be sharing details about finishing out our Kozik mug collection. I know many of you have been waiting for the chance to be able to finish your collections, and I want to thank you for your immense patience. In case you're new here and didn't know, we began a mug collection way back in 2017. The mugs feature beautiful artwork inspired by the Harry Potter series, and each illustration was originally hand-painted by independent artist Kozik. After the events that took place last summer with JKR's remarks towards the transgender community, we took a break from including HP-inspired products in our boxes. I wrote a post last summer that mentioned how fans of the series would have to decide for themselves how they feel about remaining a part of the HP community, and it's a deeply personal thing. I've spent the past year thinking about my own relationship with these books and this fandom, and have ultimately decided it's too much a part of me to let it go. My grandparents gave me the first HP book for Christmas when I was 11 years old, and the series has been a huge part of my life ever since. The values of acceptance, friendship, bravery, and the power of love that I found in these books have also carried me through some of the toughest times in my life. I've created incredible friendships over a shared love of the books. I've traveled around the world to visit the parks and special film locations. I have imagery from the book tattooed on my body, and of course, it inspired Owlcrate. I can safely say that without Harry Potter, my love of reading may not exist as it does, and that without the love of reading, Owlcrate may never have happened. We started Owlcrate over 6 years ago because we wanted to share this love of reading with the world, and we wanted to bring people magic. And that remains our mission to this day. The Harry Potter community is such a positive, accepting, and diverse community, and I've found so much happiness and support within it. I know for some people they may not understand, but these books aren't just books to me. They have helped shape who I am, and been an important part of my life for over 2 decades, and I feel that the community has grown into something so much bigger than the author. I know many of you will be excited to finish your mug collections. However, I know that for some of you, you have decided to cut ties with the books in the fandom, and this news may be disappointing. I completely respect your decision and understand if this causes you to unfollow us and no longer support our business. As mentioned above, I know this is a deeply personal thing and you should absolutely do what is best for you. We would never want someone to follow us if it made them uncomfortable. I want you to know that whatever you decide, Owlcrate supports you and there will always be a place for you here, but you need to do what's right for you and you alone. More details regarding the mugs will be shared tomorrow, but for now I just wanted to thank you for reading and supporting Owlcrate this far. I don't have all of the answers, and I don't really think there is a right answer. For myself, I am choosing to love and support the transgender community without ridding my life and business of Harry Potter. I'm following my heart in a way that feels authentic to me, and I would wish the same for anyone reading this. With lots of love, Karina. Please be kind to each other in the comments. So you can only imagine what the comments were. I mean, let me tell you what, the book community can read, okay? And not just read, they can read, honey. And they read Karina in them replies. They were great. I mean, if you want to go look at the post, there's over 1,000 replies. It's funny, when I first saw it, my friend mentioned it to me because I don't follow Owlcrate. I think it was maybe, it just had to have been posted because there were only like 100 comments, and it was kind of split between people being happy and people being upset. And then the next morning, it was like over 1,000. And there may be even more now. But of course, people were upset, and they're like, you're placing profits over people. You are choosing Harry Potter, a fictional book, over the transgender community. You can't say that you care about, love the transgender community and also at the same time profit from the mugs. And then the next day, they posted this here photo about the mugs. So they have a collection pre-order information, and in the description it said that the mugs were now $16 or $16.99, which was a $2 increase, because she did say in this post that they were going to donate 20% of the proceeds from the mugs to the Trevor Project, and there were two other charities, but they were writer based, so none of them were exclusively a transgender charity, but they were going to donate 20%. People are like, yeah, you just raised the price $2, so you don't really lose out on any money. And then they didn't say anything for a few days. They posted another post like everything was fine, that talked about what is this? I think it was this one that just talked about book club stuff. I have so many screenshots. Ooh, is that a baby boy? Is that my fuzzy wuzzy was a bear?
The delivery of the prodigal
son. My bookie baby. Say hi, baby. Floppy and Floppy.
Do you want to text me what you want? How you want it, or you just want the caramel joint?
Caramel joint with the whip. Hey, baby. All right, are you calm now? Can you just lay here while Mama give you a scratch? Okay. So, sorry. No, Nigel, because you were acting a fool. So, under the post where they were just talking about upcoming things that didn't have to do with Harry Potter, people were like, oh, so you're just going to ignore everything that people have said? And in my previous attempts at recording, I was like, she obviously must have thought about this. Like, there's no way you just do this on a whim. Like, I would have hoped she really thought about this, and she was like, all right, I'm going to say it with my chest. This is what I want to do. I want to make this money, and I don't care what people think. That's what I would have thought. But no. She backtracked. So now there's a new post. Important updates. Dear Owlcrate community, Karina here. I'm so incredibly sorry for the hurt and disappointment I have caused with my previous decision to continue HP-inspired merchandise. I spent the past week listening to your feedback and consulting with others in the community. I want to thank the people who took time to help me understand that this decision was a mistake. I realize that privately appreciating the series and acknowledging the good it has brought into my life is very different from promoting it through my business. Although these items were unofficial and not financially benefiting the author directly, it is still active promotion of a brand that is hurting many people in the transgender community. While trying to reconcile my own personal relationship with the series, I lost sight of the very real harm continued platforming of the brand causes. I understand and take full responsibility for the pain and sense of betrayal this has caused. As such, this is how we plan to move forward. From this day on, we will no longer include any Harry Potter inspired merchandise in our subscription boxes, both Owlcrate and Owlcrate Jr., or as separate items in our shop. We have stopped sales for the mugs effective immediately and have removed them from our shop. Any mug orders that have been previously placed will be fulfilled. However, 100% of the mug pre-order profits will be donated to charity in addition to the 20% donation mentioned in the original post, going towards the Trevor Project, the World Literacy Foundation at 826 National. We also will be donating the remaining 80% of the profits to the Transgender Law Center. We have also made an immediate donation of $10,000 to the National Center for Transgender Equality. We will continue to support the transgender community by featuring trans authors, artists, shops in our boxes. I also want to apologize to all the authors, artists, shop owners, brand reps, and team members we work with who were blindsided by all of this. This was my decision. I wasn't thinking of how it would affect the people we collaborate with, and I am truly sorry that I put you in this situation. Although my original post was written from a loving place, I know now that I came across as though I value a fictional book series over the lives of trans people. This is unequivocally untrue, and I'm so sorry to everyone who I have hurt. All I've ever wanted Owlcrate to be is a welcoming place for book lovers to come together, and I'm sorry to have betrayed that with my ignorance. Myself and the team at Owlcrate are committed to honoring that goal and to better support the transgender community going forward. Karina. Your butt reeks, sir. So I just feel that it's weird that you wouldn't have consulted your team before making this decision. Like, did you not talk to, because I feel like there's more than one person who runs Owlcrate. I could be wrong, but even if they don't like officially run it, like people you work with, like when you run that past them to get just some general consensus, some feedback before you make a huge decision like this isn't just something else. Like it's a big topic, especially in the book community, because Harry Potter is something so many of us read growing up. And so, you know, there are people in the comments who are like happy that they, you know, listen to everyone and are taking this step. There's other people who are very upset because now they can't get their mugs, because originally I think the pre-sale was supposed to go to the end of August. And so, but anyway, so I don't know how people are going to feel about Owlcrate. I know that after their original post that there were some people who may have been reps for them or who did order their boxes regularly and unbox them on their channel or whatever, who said they would no longer be working with Owlcrate. So I don't know if they're going to change their minds or if people who no longer wanted to support Owlcrate will now change their mind. But it's been a saga over the last week. Karina has obviously gone through some things, gone through some thoughts, which is good. I'm glad that she did listen to the feedback, but I'm still saying, in the first place, did you not think about that in the first place? Did you not think about that? Yeah, so there's that. I do want to take a minute, because I don't think I focused on it, and mention this again, that she did say that they have made a donation of $10,000 to the National Center for Transgender Equality. Not like that negates people's feelings, or that people shouldn't, you know, have their feelings or be upset with what she did originally, but I still think that that was a really great gesture, and I feel like her apology is sincere, so just wanted to point that out. It'll be interesting to see if they continue to thrive. I'm sure they will, because there were people who were going to buy them the mugs, and now there's people who either were still going to support Owlcrate or maybe now are going to support Owlcrate because they apologize. So I don't think they'll be hurting, but you know, some people, yeah, I don't know. Nigel, your butt stinks. Did you come in here and fart? It smells like you came in here and farted, and it's actually disgusting. It's upsetting to me and my homegirls. Okay. Now, this next thing, again, okay. Hey! I don't know how to explain this next thing most succinctly. I'm going to play a TikTok that was going around on Twitter a few weeks ago about Delia Owens, who's the author of Where the Crawdads Sing, and then we can regroup.
To talk about Where the Crawdads Sing and Delia Owens since I became a Book Talk account. This is Delia Owens, the author of Where the Crawdads Sing, which was, I believe, the best-selling fiction book in 2019, and has been a very, very popular book for the last few years. And that's her husband, Mark, or ex-husband. She's kind of private. Now, please keep in mind that Delia released Where the Crawdads Sing when she was 70 years old. So in the 90s, she's like in her 50s. Her and her husband in like the 80s or 90s decide that they're going to move to Zambia in Africa to save the elephants. How are they going to save the elephants? By killing the poachers. So they move, these two white people from the South, move to Africa to start killing the African citizens who live there, who obviously poaching's wrong, but how are they entitled to be doing this? And how do we know that they were killing? One of them literally shot a man in front of the television crew. You think that they weren't killing people on the side? You think that they weren't just doing that? Anyway, it gets aired with them shooting the person. The Zambian officials find out. They get really angry because they're like, well, why do you two Americans think that you can come here and kill our citizens? So they got kicked out of Zambia. Then she moved back to the US, kept her head down. And then she wrote this book, which is literally about a murder trial where it happens like remotely in nature, and like the girl is like, like she has some justification for it. She's like saving nature. Anyway, this man's a murderer. She could be. She's definitely complicit. And I don't want to read a book by a white woman from the South who pretty openly killed black people. There was a Slate article that was written in 2010 about it before the book came out. Then once the book came out, her PR team did a really great job on erasing it, but Elle recapped it.
Look at him. Look at him. I mean, he is, but his butt stank. Ooh, stinky butt. Okay. Okay. All right. So Where the Crawdads Sing, she didn't write until she was like 69. She did co-author books when she was younger with her then husband. They're now divorced, but this was essentially her first debut novel on her own. But back in the gap, when they were young and in love, grad students, studying biology, they were like, you know what? Why would we want to live in America? We need to go find a remote village in Africa. That's where we're needed. Okay, so they did their researching. They flew to South Africa, one-way tickets, and they just, I guess, looked at a map and were trying to find a remote place, and they ended up finding somewhere in Botswana. And since they did do major in biology, I think they were like studying animals and so forth. They got really friendly with hyenas and lions in the area, and they were just living their best life. Apparently they wrote some books about their time there. It was kind of hard because it was hot. They had to ration water. It wasn't like some super glamorous life, but it's something I guess they felt called to do, and where they met or felt like they belonged. But then there's a story about a time where Mark, who was her husband, came across a migration of wildebeest. And so he was following the migration and noticed that they suddenly stopped, and he saw that there was a super long, like hundreds-mile long fence. And it come to find out the fence was to stop the spread of hand and foot disease to cattle, because cattle is super important industry there. So a lot of the wildebeest died right there from dehydration. And so a lot of them ended up being like funneled into this area because of the fence, and that allowed a lot of poachers to kill the wildebeest. So Mark was like, oh my God, no. And he like went to the government and he's like, you have to fix this. This said, the government was like, the government basically was like, cattle is too big an industry. You'll never get them to take down the fences. No one in the country was listening to them because they were like, we're protecting the cattle. It's a big industry. And so some wildebeest gonna have to die. And so they were like, we won't stand for this. So they try to contact people outside of Botswana and worldwide to bring attention to this. And the Botswana government was like, y'all gonna have to go because y'all are embarrassing. They're like, beef is important. They were a large exporter of beef to Europe. And they're like, this is embarrassing. Get out. So apparently they went back to America. They were still trying to like get people to pick up on this and figure out what was happening. At the same time, they're like, just in case we can't go back, let's find another African country to go to, because we shouldn't just stay in America. And so they came across this place in Zambia that was super isolated, which seemed to fit their needs. It was basically like nature. But they were like, let me bring my American ass up in here. Okay. Some of these quotes, they said like, this is where civilization, or let's see, Mark Owens said of the park, here's where civilization ends. So why are you there, sir? Why are you there? But this article, they've got pictures of them from back in the Gap, very wild thornberries, but not. So they, again, it was really a remote place. They had to survey a way in from the air. They had to find a route into there. It was not somewhere where people were living. And they were like, this is exactly where we belong. And so they, again, wrote another book at the time, and they were falling in love with this area, but realizing they didn't see a lot of elephants, or if they did see elephants, they seemed really skittish. And they realized that the elephant population was declining because of poachers. And so the poachers were made up of people who were local to Zambia, but also a lot of foreign people, because there was at least, I don't know about now, a large ivory market in Asia. So a lot of people from outside the country, probably outside of the continent of Africa, came in to try to hunt elephants so they could get their tusk for ivory, which is very sad. It's a very sad thing. They love animals. They felt like it was their call to stop this somehow. And it talks about in the article that, you know, they're somehow they convinced the local government to make them essentially like park rangers or something. And they realized that people there, they had scouts who would try to keep the poachers in check, but they didn't have many. They were worn down, they were unarmed, like they didn't have a lot going from them, so the poachers really got their way. And so they were like, we're gonna build up basically their own little militia so that we can keep these poachers away from these elephants. And so they realized they had to really help the community, and so the community wouldn't help the poachers, they would help them. So they helped people get food and shoes and clothes and materials for their roofs so that the community could be on their side and help them. They basically made their own little army of people to rid of the poachers, and they armed them. Like, they had a deal where they were getting money from some organization, I think in Germany. Like, they had money and they used it for what they thought they were doing, that they thought they were doing a good thing. And so they got really into this. They would do patrols, and Mark was really into it. He didn't want to just be like the overseer. He wanted to be in on the patrols, so he would do foot patrols. He would do them in this plane. And Delia at times would be like, I really wish he would just, you know, give them the encouragement, give them materials and step back, but he puts himself in the line of danger too often. So that was their thing. They were there, these white people from America in this African country where no one was really living, and they situated themselves there and made themselves these unofficial, or they said that the government made them like these unofficial kind of like, it says honorary game rangers. So they had authority over this, essentially this park. And so we get to the part of that was mentioned in the TikTok. So like I said, their whole thing is to stop these poachers. And from what it seems, some murder might have been involved to stop the poachers from killing the elephants. So this one part, there is a clip. I don't know if I could put it in without getting a copyright strike, but there was a documentary filmed about them, about their time there. And it was, I think Meredith Vieira was like the host, and she came down there while they were filming, and she was following them and going through all the things that we're doing. So they were following a scout, one of their scouts. And on film, you can see the scout running through the brush with a rifle, and you hear shots. But the reason why he was running is they had come across, like, it looked like maybe a campground. There were shotgun shells, like evidence someone had been there. So they basically waited on the side, like maybe this poacher will come back. Assumed poacher. It's not proven that he's a poacher. And they waited for this guy to come back, and basically he's like laying on his stomach. Like, you can see this in the camera that he's laying on his stomach, and the scout that you can see, who is a local, so it's not Mark or his stepson, shoot the guy while he's laying there. And I think that he's still alive, and then there's like 3 more shots and his body moves like twice, and then he goes still. But you do not see who shoots the other shots. So you can definitely see that a scout who was African shot the guy one time, but then there are more shots and you cannot see who shot those. So it's alleged that was either Mark or Christopher, who is his stepson, who was there also, but there's no evidence. Also, Meredith Vieira can be heard saying to the camera basically that when they kill a poacher, they just leave him there because circle of life. conservation. The animals will eat him. So they've never been able to prove this because there was nothing left of his body. There's also this speculation, and I think it was in the Slate article, that since he had a plane, that he picked up the man's body and like put it in his plane or his helicopter and dumped it in water. So the man who was killed was never identified. So sadly, his family probably never knows what happened to him. It was never proven that he was a poacher, but he was killed in the documentary that they did air on TV, and it's not captured who fired those additional shots, and there's a lot of back and forth. Some people said that it was Mark, some people said it was Christopher. They say it was somebody else, and then Mark, even though he was in control of all these people, was like, I don't have control over what the poachers do, even though he's been like on camera saying like, I have control of what these, or not the poachers, what the scouts do. So very shady. And at first the documentary was getting really great praise, but then people were starting to be like very concerned about this, and it eventually got to the government in Zambia. And then once they saw it, and I guess the Owenses realized they saw it, they left the country. So I guess to be fair, they did other things besides just hunting down poachers. Like it appeared like they did things positive for the community, maybe, possibly. But they also were involved in some maybe not exactly legal things, because at that time, even though the elephant population was decreasing because of poachers in multiple countries in Africa, every country didn't have a specific policy. So it said in the article at that time that a country like Kenya, I think, had a like shoot on sight policy for poachers, but Zambia didn't have any kind of written policy. So Mark, they were trying to say that they did, but there was no official policy in Zambia at that time. So even if they did know 100% that this was a poacher, they technically really weren't allowed to do that because there was no law. But then I don't know if there wasn't a law saying like you couldn't, you know, like loophole. So that was kind of the mess they were involved in. Like it was basically under their organization or their power, but it's not explicitly said who did it. It wasn't Delia. The speculation is either Mark or his stepson or maybe somebody else. But once the Zambian government found out, Mark and Delia were like, we're out of here, because they didn't want to be prosecuted. The government did open up an investigation, but like I said, they never found the man's remains, so they didn't have a lot to go on, and they're basically like, you better not come back here unless you're ready to be prosecuted. Like essentially like, we're going to investigate you for this homicide. And they never did go back. They have been in America ever since. I don't know if they travel anywhere else, and they've got a divorce. But also there was issue that's mostly spoken about in the Slate article, that a lot of where the crawdads sing also draws inspiration from their time in Zambia. So there was a quote that said several sources Goldberg spoke with. Goldberg is the author of the New Yorker article. So several sources Goldberg spoke with, including the cameraman who filmed the shooting of the poacher, have stated that Christopher Owens, Mark Owens' son and Delia Owens' stepson, was the first member of a scouting party to shoot the man. 2 other scouts followed suit. Others have claimed that Mark Owens covered up the killing by carrying the body, which was never recovered, up in his helicopter and dropping it in a lake. Whoever pulled the trigger that day, what seems indisputable from The Hunted is that over the course of years, Mark Owens, in his zeal to save endangered elephants and other wildlife, became carried away by his own power, turning into a modern-day version of Joseph Conrad's Mr. Kurtz. And that while Delia Owens objected at times to what was happening, she was either unable or unwilling to stop him or quit him. And despite being set in a different place and time, her best-selling novel contains striking echoes of those volatile years in the wilderness. And in Where the Crawdads Sing, they're basically, I think it said in North Carolina, there's a young girl who they call like Marsh Girl, and she is very isolated, kind of like just growing up with nature, and there's a murder. And I don't want to say much more than that if you want to read it, but they're just saying there's some eerie comparisons from their experience to the book. And then there was one more part that I wanted to mention about them. Oh my gosh, this boy is eating my rug. You come to take your dog?
Sure.
Because he's very ghetto. Ooh, thank you, child. Get your arms out my camera. Thank you. Because he just ate some of my rug. Do you see this? Bye, ghetto boys. Where you going to play basketball, son?
No, this is what I'm wearing.
You just want your arms out?
Yeah.
Okay, dog. Thank you. Bye. Coffee. Okay. So that part is messy. But there's also apparently, oh, look, they got pictures. So at the time the New Yorker article was written in 2010, Goldberg visited their website, and he said the Owens' writings on occasion convey archaic ideas about Africans. On the website of the Owens Foundation, Africa is referred to as the Dark Continent. And throughout The Eye of the Elephant, the Owenses expressed a desire to live in an Eden-like Africa, free of the complications created by the presence of humans. In Secrets of the Savannah, they issued a strong call for human population control in Africa. Unless human numbers are in balance with those of neighboring wildlife populations, the decline of wildlife will continue to be a hard reality, they wrote. Despite the ravages of AIDS and a plethora of other diseases, Africa's populations continue to outstrip the carry capacity of the continental resource base. Zambia, though, is larger than France, with only 1/5 the population. Mark Harvey told me that the Owenses earned a reputation in the valley for their intolerance of local people. Their whole attitude was, nice continent, pity about the Africans, he said. PJ Fausch, a professional hunter who manages a hunting concession in a game management area outside the park, said that Mark Owens developed a proprietary feeling about the park's wildlife. He didn't want them, the Africans, to be anywhere near his animals. That's how he saw the animals, as his. Sir, you're not even from the goddamn continent. How they yours? What? It is very on brand, though. Very white American. Peak colonialism, colonization. I came here, this is mine. But woo child the ghetto. So that was as TLDR as I could get. So not like I'm saying Delia Owens is this perfect person. They did some messed up stuff. One just going there gives me, it's very much white savior. Don't like that. But just to say she's a murderer, don't read her book, it's not exactly what happened. But also, if you've read the book, if you like the book, if you own the book, you're not a bad person. Okay, I hate when people do that. But now you know. Also, I'll link these articles down below if you want to read them. The New Yorker one, like I said, is super long, but it has a lot of information in it. And yeah, so that's her. So, oh, that's good. Okay, what else were we gonna talk about? Okay, I feel like I had something else on my list to talk about, and I don't remember. So I saw some mess on Twitter, and it was like people arguing with people who are saying that Terry Pratchett would be transphobic. And Terry Pratchett, to my knowledge, yeah, he has since passed away, but he's the author of the Discworld series, I'm pretty sure. Hold on, my internet's being slow. Yes. He wrote the Discworld books. So I don't know what was happening, where this was coming from, since the man isn't alive, but I found this article, and so it said, here's why Terry Pratchett's daughter and Neil Gaiman are fighting with transphobes on Twitter. Thank you, the internet, for letting me know. So all of a sudden, scores of people on Twitter are speculating about the late Terry Pratchett's feelings on gender. This discourse hasn't arisen spontaneously. It's because Neil Gaiman weighed in on a transphobic Facebook post and angered anti-trans activists. Since then, Pratchett's own daughter has gotten involved. Sound confusing? Here's the chain of events. God bless whoever made this. So, it all started on July 28th when author Lori Penny posted about the intersection of anti-Semitism and trans misogyny, sharing with horror screenshots of a conspiracy-minded Facebook post. It's always a damn Facebook post. From a gender-critical organization suggesting Jews are behind the transgender agenda. These people really have too much fucking time on their hands. Neil Gaiman responded from his own Twitter account and said, not very surprising. So Neil Gaiman, July 29th, said, online gender-critical feminists, anti-trans people, replied with criticism. One brought Gaiman's Good Omens collaborator Terry Pratchett into it, claiming Pratchett was transphobic. I thought the fact that you write good fantasy meant that you were acquainted with reality. After learning this about you, it seems, however, more likely that that was Pratchett's contribution to your partnership. The account that tweeted this has now locked their profile. Another anti-trans account replied, honestly, have no idea how anyone could read Pratchett, especially the witches, and think he didn't know what female is and means in the world. Honestly, have no idea. Oh, wait. Oh, wow. Sorry. My internet was loading really slow, so you can't, it was like, now I see the screenshots. Okay. So, this prompted many users to speculate on the political position implied by Pratchett's writing. Many Pratchett fans replied to say that Pratchett's books espoused compassion for others regardless of gender identity, often citing a particular passage from the Discworld series where a character misgenders someone and is corrected, as well as moments when villains police other characters' gender expression. So someone replied to the person saying, honestly have no idea how anyone can read Pratchett. Someone said Pratchett would despise your guts. And there is a grab from the book and it said, seems like a perfectly ordinary female to me. And then someone said, female? He told you he was female? She. They corrected. So it said, we've got extra pronouns here. And I don't know when those were written, but that seems pretty forward, especially for a white man. And then Rhianna Pratchett, Terry's daughter, weighed in saying, this is horrifying. My father would most definitely not be a GC if he was still alive. Read the books. What's a GC? Did I miss that? A gender. I don't know what that means. Gender critical? I don't know. Then someone said, how to say you don't understand what GC is without saying you don't understand what GC is. Okay, I don't understand what GC is. Let me Google it. What does GC stand for? I swear to God, we just can't be typing out stuff. It's definitely not green card. Jam 4 on Twitter. Good character? Gender critical? I think it's gender critical. I'm gonna go with that one. And so this person, then Neil Gaiman, quote tweeted Rhianna and said, Terry was wise and Terry was kind. Terry understood that people were complicated, contradictory, and always people, and that people can and do change. As Rhianna Pratchett says, he would have had no time for this nonsense. See also Equal Rights, Monstrous Regiment, Feet of Clay. So gender critical feminist. Okay, I guess I could have just scanned down lower. Bessie Braddock tweeted an attempted gotcha at Gaiman, posting a screenshot from his graphic novel The Sandman, A Game of You, where TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist, another term for gender critical feminist, discredits Wanda, a transgender woman. Bessie Braddock said, this you, Neil? Bit turfy, isn't it? Don't be using the this you. Don't. That's not yours. Gaiman responded, noting that they missed the point of the story and that simply depicting a viewpoint doesn't mean an author agrees with said viewpoint. He also shared another tweet correcting Bessie Braddock about the ending lesson of the story. Wanda is eventually accepted for who she is. So essentially, and that's what happened, and people are fucking mad. And then it said the conversation was reignited when today in the Times, Sarah Didham wrote an article entitled, "We can't hijack the dead for today's battles," with the subtitle, "It's absurd for either trans activists or a gender critical feminist to claim that Terry Pratchett would have supported them." This article treated Pratchett like an enigma, neglecting Pratchett's own daughter and those who knew him and met him, saying Pratchett supported personal gender expression and was opposed to transphobia in all its forms. On Twitter, Didham thanked Helen Lewis, author of the op-ed, "A Man Can't Just Say He Has Turned Into a Woman," for assisting with the article. Back in 2000, Pratchett, interviewed about transgender themes in his work, said, "The people I know who are gay and one transgendered, I think, like the dwarfs, I don't ask people what they're not prepared to volunteer, are mostly within the SF fantasy fandom, which appears at least to be quite amiable about people's sexuality so long as they don't act like a jerk." So all of that to say that people are fucking shit and trying to tell this man's daughter about her deceased father and say that they know more than she does, or that Neil Gaiman, who worked with him, does. The devil is busy. These demons got too much time on their hands. It's disgusting. It's very ghetto. Let's see what else I had in my, look at this. Since we're scrolling through my Twitter, Ted Cruz made $320,000 as an author last year, and his campaign bought over half of the books, $153,000 worth of books. Fuck that motherfucker. I can't stand him. So Hachette Book Group is acquiring Workman Publishing. So I didn't know about Workman Publishing, but they were an independent company known for titles like What to Expect When You're Inspecting and the Brain Quest workbooks. And like I said before, it is never great when publishers acquire other publishers. So they are, stop, man. This is so annoying because I bought access to the New York Times, but it's logged in on my phone, and I'm just have to look at it on my phone. It's so stupid. Anyway, let me see. It said that they're buying them for $240 million. So this is why we need Alaska. Scholastic to say independent. Big yikes, big yikes. But anyway, so for our last piece, we're going to end this on a positive note here. And so previously in a book community, I think maybe it was in the end of last year, I talked about a writer named Rod Polito, who is bisexual, he's Filipino, and he was trying to get his story, Chasing Pacquiao, out there. He finally had like gotten an agent or someone who read the book and really was interested and wanted to move forward. And they were talking and they were like, tell me about yourself, your family. And he explained that he had been married to his high school sweetheart, his wife, and the main character in the story is queer, and so the person was like, you're not queer? So he had to come out as bisexual earlier than he wanted to. That ended up not going through. And it was in the discussion about the own voices things, like how it forces some people to reveal things about themselves or come out earlier than they want to because people won't take their work seriously, or like, well, you're not queer, how are you writing this queer story? Talked about that. So I know that he watches my videos because we follow each other on Twitter, and I'm just so excited for him because he tweeted that it's happening, thrilled to announce that Chasing Pacquiao has been acquired. Woo! So the English rights to the YA debut Chasing Pacquiao by Rod Polito, and it's going to, so they've been purchased by Viking, and it is scheduled for summer 2023, which seems far away, but because time is garbage, it's not that far away. So I'm so happy. And on that same day was his wedding anniversary, so it was like double great news. And I was like, yay, I can include this as a happy follow-up, because sometimes the follow-up is not great, but this is such great news, so I'm so excited for him. Definitely will be picking that one up. We'll be pre-ordering it once it becomes available, but finally some good news, because sometimes this gets depressing, right? So I'll try from now on to start with a piece of good news, end with a piece of good news, but congratulations to Rod. Nigel and I are so very happy for you. That's gonna be it today on this episode of Book Community. Please let me know if this was like it did not work for you, if you did not like my messy screen and this, I don't know, I'm experimenting. I'm just trying to make it easier so I don't have to spend so much time editing these videos, but there's so much going on in the world. Like, I want everyone to take care of themselves. It's a very precarious balance between trying to be aware of things and also not spending all of your time doom scrolling. Trust me, I know. My therapist was like, you need to limit yourself to 10 minutes on Twitter. And I was like, girl, I can't do that. But sometimes you do have to step back. So as always have links to things that are going on in the world. And sadly, we can't help with everything. We can't know everything. We can't do everything, but we can try to be aware of some things. We can try to learn more about some things and try to do a little bit here. And if we all did a little bit, the world could be a better place. Not like it's all in our hands. There's a lot of things not, outside of our control, but I've been struggling. And so I just want to acknowledge that we just all need to have thoughts and prayers and vibes and all of those things, whatever you do for the world, because fires and earthquakes and tornadoes and and governments, and there's so much. So anyway, I hope that if you've been going through anything or experienced any experiencing any of these things, that this time with this video maybe was a break so that you can hear about maybe some more pettier things. Not like, I think some things here we talk about are very important, but some things are a little more petty, but maybe it could just take a break from some of the other harder things in life. I don't ever want to be part of the problem. I want to help. I want to make content that people enjoy and can, bring you a break, even if it's only like an hour long. So I just hope you all take care of yourselves. And that also includes be blessed, hydrated, moisturize, sunscreen, cause it's hot out here, okay? And also, how am I about to forget? We cannot leave here without giving a big ol' thank you to my patrons. If you want to join my Patreon, it is linked down below. Or if you don't want to make that commitment, there are other ways that you can support my channel. It's all in the description, as well as any links or articles and stuff I mentioned today. So we gotta give a big shout out to Bebe's besties, which are Kate, Celicia, Terry, Emily, Jessie, Janine, Sarah, Pepper, Shannon, Kirsten, Elizabetta, Amber, Heidi, Maria, and Serena. And to the Nigel Lavondre stands, Ava, Claire, Kimberly, Carrie, Tyriel, Stephanie, Demery, Rainey, and Celine. And also a big shout out to Bebe's admirers and friends of Bebe. Thank you all so much. Nigel, I would not be here without you. We love you and thank you for supporting us. So check that description, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in our next one. Bye. I'm mad you can see my yoga mat in this. I'm gonna do it. I gotta take a photo. This could be my new screenshot. Like, not screenshot. I mean, thumbnail. Wait. I don't. I got coffee and Crystal Light. Hydration and water. I got water.